The Universal Academic Exchange Program had been running for 3 standard cycles, and Professor Scholar of the Crystalline Collective still found human students peculiar. Their minds worked in ways that defied conventional logic, often arriving at correct conclusions through the most Byzantine reasoning paths imaginable. Today's advanced theoretical physics seminar proceeded normally until James Morrison raised his hand during a discussion on quantum consciousness theory. "Professor James," he said, his casual tone unnerving the other species in the lecture hall, "I have a question about the Velar paradox." Professor Scholar's crystalline form shimmered, a human-recognizable sign of academic interest. The Velar paradox was one of the most complex problems in quantum mechanics. How consciousness could theoretically exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously while maintaining coherent memory patterns. "Proceed, human," Scholar said, as the other professors leaned forward. Dr. Morpheus from the Gaseous Confederacy, Professor Exilla of the Hive Minds, and the renowned Dr. Kavash from Proxima Academic. Liza Chen, sitting 2 seats away from James, suppressed a smile. She'd been James' study partner long enough to recognize that tone in his voice. He wasn't just asking a question. He was about to demolish something. "Well," James began, scratching his head in that endearingly human gesture. "I was thinking about this while eating breakfast. You know how the Velar equations assume that consciousness operates as a singular quantum field." The assembled alien professors nodded. This was basic graduate-level theory. "But what if that's not how it works at all?" James continued. "What if consciousness isn't a field, but more like a jazz ensemble?" The silence in the auditorium was deafening. Dr. Morpheus's gaseous form swirled in what Liza recognized as confusion. Professor Exilla's collective mind seemed to stutter, several bodies moving out of sync for the first time anyone could remember. "I do not understand this reference," Scholar admitted. James stood, warming to his subject. "Okay, so in jazz you have multiple musicians. Each one is playing their own part, but they're all listening to each other, responding, improvising. Sometimes one takes the lead, sometimes another. The music emerges from their interaction, but it's not predictable from any single instrument." He gestured enthusiastically, causing several tentacled students in the front row to recoil slightly. "What if consciousness works the same way, instead of as one unified quantum field? What if it's multiple quantum processes, memory, attention, sensory processing, imagination, all improvising together?" The implications hit the academic audience like a plasma cannon. If consciousness operated as James described, then the fundamental equations that had governed quantum psychology for millennia were wrong. "By the 7 suns," whispered Dr. Kavash, his 3 brains visibly overloading. "If the human is correct, the consciousness constant isn't constant at all. It's dynamic, responsive, emergent." Scholar's form began to dim and brighten rapidly, the crystalline equivalent of hyperventilation. The implications for quantum computing, artificial consciousness, and psychophysics were staggering. Dr. Morpheus cycled through colors unseen in most species' visual spectra. Professor Exilla looked less like a hive mind and more like a room full of confused individuals. "Wait," James said, concerned. "Are you all okay? I mean, it's just a theory. I could be completely wrong." "Wrong." Scholar's voice cracked with impossible harmonics. "Human James, do you understand what you've just proposed? You've potentially invalidated 3,000 years of academic research with an analogy to primitive human music." James shrugged. "I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds crazy. But consciousness has always seemed more like improvisation than composition. Right now, I'm not following a script. I'm just responding to what you're saying, building on it, riffing." The word riffing seemed to break something. Dr. Kavash actually fell over, 3 brains unable to coordinate basic motor functions while processing James' casual observation. Liza finally stood. "Professors, maybe you should sit down. James tends to do this." "Do what?" Exilla asked, voice now completely discordant. "Solve incredibly complex problems by comparing them to everyday human experiences," Liza explained gently. "Last week, he revolutionized our understanding of dark matter by comparing it to the way crowds move at concerts." James nodded. "Oh yeah, that was fun. See, people think dark matter is mysterious, but it's like trying to get to the bathroom at a concert. There's an invisible flow of people affecting how you move through the space." "Stop!" Scholar's voice rang out across the auditorium. "Human James, you will cease this casual destruction of our fundamental understanding of the universe." But it was too late. Across the auditorium, alien students frantically took notes, minds already racing with the implications. The Velar paradox, which had stumped the galaxy's greatest minds for generations, had just been unraveled by a human comparing consciousness to music. Later, as the academic session devolved into what could only be described as an intellectual crisis, James and Liza walked across the campus together. "You really shouldn't enjoy traumatizing alien professors quite so much," Liza said. James grinned. "I don't try to. They make everything so complicated. Sometimes the answer really is as simple as thinking about how things actually work instead of how we think they should work." Behind them, the sound of academic panic continued to echo from the auditorium as the galaxy's greatest minds tried to process that a human had just rewritten the foundations of consciousness theory. While thinking about breakfast and jazz as they walked, neither noticed the small recording device capturing every word of the lecture, already transmitting James' insights to universities across 17 star systems. By tomorrow, the Yao field of quantum consciousness would never be the same, and James Morrison would still be wondering what all the fuss was about. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.